Good evening, Bonacera. How's it going tonight, gang? I have not done one of these since I think early November, if anything is to be believed, if I'm looking at my own VODs correctly. I have made a bunch of pizza, never done it on stream since November, I think. I think the last one I did was the big 3D debut for Queque, where she wanted people to do a restream. So I'm probably a bit out of sorts. It's been far too long. I'm desperately trying to find a small amount of time where I can do this kind of thing because my schedule just keeps getting tossed around. Very well done. VTube and the Pizza Can. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to do both. You need to do both. Um, Nobody's made a pizza since the world has forgotten how to make pizza. Only one man can save us. But yeah, this week has been wild. This whole year, all 2 weeks of it has been wild. Every time I think I've got a plan of when I can do stuff, gets tossed out the window. Uh, but yeah, let me know how audio is. I'm using the camera microphone instead of a headset microphone this time, so I don't know if that the settings are calibrated properly. It's the same one that Bon uses for when she does Gunpla, but she uses a boom microphone for that. Uh, Ready to stop existing for a month. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that a lot. But we unfortunately are not afforded that luxury. Um, so yeah, welcome to PIZZATSUDAN. It's the combination pizza and zatsudan that everybody knows and loves. I made dough with a machine ahead of time because I'm really tired for reasons that I will explain shortly. It's kind of lumpy. I think it looks better when I make it by hand, so we'll see how this fares. I hope it's not too peculiar. But if you're just joining and you want to, get in on the action, the recipe for the dough is at the bottom of the screen, and it's also my splash for when I'm not live, so you can find it there. Or if you just check out the hashtag PIZZATSUDAN on Twitter or Tumblr or co-host, you'll be able to find the recipe there as well. There's not a whole lot in that tag, surprisingly. Yeah. So without further ado, let me get my kitchen gloves on these. I was going to say greasy little mitts, but they're actually quite dry. Alrighty, there we go. Ready to grasp the dough firmly. So again, ordinarily I would be, kneading the dough and letting it rise and giving you guys the whole rundown of the skeletal historia for the past 2 months or however long it's been. I'm very tired. I made the dough ahead of time, so I'm going to use this opportunity to preheat my oven. I definitely recommend you guys do the same. I use a gas convection oven, so I just crank it up to the highest temperature it goes, which is about 535 Fahrenheit. You can, your mileage may vary, lesser temperatures work for a greater duration of time, etc., etc. And I'm very proud of myself for this one. I actually remembered to put the pizza stone in ahead of time, and I'm thinking, and you guys can tell me if this sounds like a fun idea or not, I'm thinking next time I do a PIZZATSUDAN, it might actually not involve any baking. We might just have a pizza stone cleaning ASMR stream. I think I'd probably be the first and only human being on this godforsaken rock in space to have tried something like this. But I've got a tool for it that I have not really used yet, and it makes a lovely noise. I get to go like to get all the soot off and brush it away. So I'm thinking I might be able to do a PIZZATSUDAN ASMR, which would be a fun thing to put on my Twitch tags and pretend like I'm an ASMR streamer. Ricky, hello, welcome. You were doing art. I was watching you use vector lines to produce a Guilty Gear character. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You were just in time. We just got started. I was about to preheat the oven, was remarking about how well well used my pizza steamer is. And then yeah, I'm thinking I can do an ASMR stream in the future where I clean this thing. Because the trick with pizza stones, like this one, are you can't really rinse them with water, or if you do, you have to be very careful. They're very porous because they're clay, and if any water gets inside, and then you put it in a 500-degree or higher oven, the water will expand and the stone will crack instantly to often catastrophic results. I've even had cases where the stones are so brittle that if cheese or other liquid toppings were to leak onto the stone during baking, it will seep in and shatter the stone. So I gotta keep these clean, and it's difficult to do without being able to use water. That's why it's as burnt as it is. It's normally this color is what it looks like when it's new. But it's not new anymore. It's well used. Mostly though, I'm just dying to use this tool. Bond got it for me for, I don't even remember, our anniversary or something. I don't remember what the occasion was. It wasn't my birthday, that's for sure. Unless it was, and it was a whole year ago. That would be fucked up. But I really haven't gotten to use it. I'm eager to. Anyway, without further ado, let me pop this back in the oven and preheat it to 535 Fahrenheit. (535 degrees Fahrenheit). Best piece of stone in the world. However, it is so fragile to shatter when handled by any force other than the delicate touch of a skeleton. Yeah, pretty much. They're very fragile. I've broken, I think, 3 of them in my life. Most of them because of the things that I described. I had one where enough cheese leaked onto it that it shattered because of the heat. I had one that I washed improperly and shattered when I put it in the oven. And I think I just dropped one. This is my 4th. Okay, so let's see. We got our dough. I'm gonna pop this out of the little bread machine container here. It like seems like it's gonna be fine, but it just looks weird. It's really weird and lumpy. Pop a bunch of flour on our workspace here. My beloved flour shaker. Pop this in. Flip. Once it's covered in flour, I'm gonna separate it with my pizza sword because we're gonna make two pies with this, I think. Slice that in half. Put the pizza sword away because I'll need it later. The prize tool to help me later. You can go off to the side. And then we begin. How do you like your bread machine? I have fantasies about buying one and eating lots of bread, like just directly eating the loaf because I'm a monster like that. It's useful. It definitely helps in a pinch. I've made dough in the machine before for pizza specifically, and it's usually fine. I don't know what I did wrong today. I'm not even sure that I necessarily did anything wrong. It's just kind of lumpy, which is not what I was expecting. Usually it's a lot more fluffy and airy. This one seems like maybe I didn't put enough yeast in it. Hey, Fuba. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. To what, the dough? I mean, again, it came out fine. There was the correct water to flour ratio. I wouldn't worry about it too much. But yeah. One of my New Year's resolutions this year is to make God himself envious of my skills as a pizziolo. So I have a long way to go. I made some really good off-stream pizza last week. I think it was last week. I think this is going to be a little less good. I was practicing doing like tossing, which is, you know, difficult, especially when you've got a little camera above your face here. But my dad's really good at this. My old man is a very seasoned pro with tossing dough, and he can get some really good air on these things. How are we today? I'm doing dandy. This is the first time the dough recipe has changed from PIZZATSUDAN. The recipe hasn't changed, unless it's different than you recall. I'm just re-emphasizing the recipe as new because it's 2023, and all of my previous PIZZATSUDAN, save for I think 2, were in 2022. But I actually started this grand tradition in 2021, December of 2021. Do you guys can teach you? Yeah, that's where I picked up these skills from. Skills, I say. I want to try and do some like big tossing because that would actually be, you know, useful. But there was a camera like a couple of feet above my head, so I have to mostly just let gravity do the work here. Homie, I've been using the exact same recipe, and it was not this. Did I mess it up? Do I have the wrong graphic on my overlay? Vaughn's looking at me like I do. Oh, okay. It's the exact same recipe. First piece out, and it was not this. Give me 1 second where I can go check this. I hope I didn't put the wrong Excellent catch. Sorry, you're good. So that recipe for dough was, I think, one of the last. I don't know. Was it the actual last, or was it there one more between then and now? Anyway, I made with Bon. We did pizza bao, like the Chinese steamed bun, and that's what that dough recipe was for. That was the last time I think I actually did this on stream with that particular overlay graphic. And I did one more in November where I had the graphic elsewhere, so it was not used. But the recipe that you saw on screen was for steamed buns, which I will probably do again because it was a lot of fun and they came out really good. But it's not the recipe for today. So good catch, thank you. Thank you. So what have I been up to when I'm not making pizza? Let's see. One big life development that I haven't really talked about because I haven't done a whole lot of streaming is, as of December, we have a cat now, which is pretty cool. I'm not a big cat enthusiast. I didn't really want a cat, but Bon has always talked about how badly she wanted a cat, so I finally caved. Our cat's name is Olivia. She has 3 legs, which is pretty cool. That's less than your standard number of legs on a cat, from what I'm told. Which is an interesting kind of anomaly. She has 0 teeth, which I'm also told is less than the standard number of teeth that you find on a cat. And she's got the feline immunodeficiency virus, FIV, which is kind of like HIV for humans, but she's a cat, so it's not HIV. So there's that, which is also, I'm told, not standard for felines. A lot of fun. She is very sociable. I'm impressed. I think we might just be good pet owners because every time we have a pet, they turn out to be really well socially adjusted, and I don't think that's particularly normal, from what I'm told. Like, our tortoise is very well socially adjusted as well. She likes people. She doesn't mind being handled too much, which is very unusual for an animal of her size. Socially adjusted, unlike us, yeah. You're not wrong. But yeah, I'm a cat owner now, I guess. Though I typically tell Bon that it's her job to take care of the animal, and I will take care of Coco and do whatever I need to for Coco. But I'm allergic to cats. I didn't really want one. I kind of figured that it would be a bad idea to have one and a tortoise at the same time, because cats are carnivores, predators, and tortoises are prey animals. They don't actually get along. They bumped into each other a couple times, and Olivia immediately enters attack mode, because that's what cats are programmed to do. But fortunately, our living space is big enough that they can basically be separate for most of their day-to-day. This is a very square edge. I'm trying to figure out if there's some good way I can round this up. She's been a handful. She finally, because of her tripodedness, having only 3 legs, we figured she wouldn't be able to do stairs, and for the first couple of weeks that we had her, she could only go up the stairs, she couldn't go down them, which seemed like a very handy thing we could exploit in terms of keeping her separate from the rest of the house, needing to cat-proof the house, etc., etc. But about 2 weeks into her stay here, she figured out how to go down the stairs, which is very impressive. Again, she's missing her front right leg. First come with a very good built-in cat. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Olivia is going to hurt Coco, but it's not nice that she tries to, you know? Nobody wants to be attacked, even if they're not going to sustain damage from it. So she'll be safe. I know she's safe, but it sucks to be antagonized. So I try and keep them separate as much as I can. But yeah, Olivia learned how to go down the stairs. She's missing her right front leg. I believe it's the right one. So it was very, very challenging to watch her try and navigate going downstairs with, you know, a missing arm. You think they can become friends? No. I honestly to God, do not think they can become friends. I think cats are, by nature, killers, and there's nothing you can do to fix that. It's the left front leg. Shows what I know. She also has a hole in her jaw, where, like, I'm assuming teeth were removed, so she drools a whole lot. We had to get her a bid. Yeah, Olivia sees Coco as, I'm assuming, food or a toy, and so I do not think they will ever be able to get along. Just cannot be done. Nature cannot be conquered in this case, is my best guess. Sucks to say. Palms is speciesist convert. I was about to say you're not wrong, and I don't know why that was my reflex. I think you're wrong in this case, Lua. But I do know for a fact that cats are just obligate carnivores. They try and eat plants, but it's not good for them. Like, there's cat grass, and they'll try and eat leaves because they're dumb. But I don't think the killer instinct can be overcome. I've watched Zootopia, I've watched Beastars. It's full of shit. They're just gonna try and kill each other. Or one is going to try and kill the other one. Coco is not going to try and kill Olivia, is my thought. But, you know, it is what it is. This is going to be a really weirdly shaped pizza. That's what I get for using machine dough and not having, like, proofed it ahead of time. Alas. Coco could if she wants. Yeah, I mean, Coco probably has a stronger bite than Olivia because Coco has a beak, whereas Olivia has no teeth, but she does have gums. So I think Coco's bite is stronger. I don't know about the claw situation. Coco's claws are very, very powerful, but Olivia's are sharper, I think. Though this is a frightening area of discussion talking about which of my pets is, like, more capable of doing damage. Kind of has the big Pokemon brain going on right now. Speaking of, that's another thing that I've been up to in the past couple weeks since the last time I did these. I have gotten really, really into Pokemon, like more than I usually am, which is saying something, because Pokemon is probably my favorite game franchise. But with the release of Scarlet and Violet, and me becoming more ingrained in this worldwide web of funny VTubers and other specialty personalities, I wanted to try and get, like, in on the ground floor of the competitive scene of Pokemon, because I think it's one of the best tactics games ever devised. The battle mechanics are fun to think about. It's satisfying in that way. There's, like, a limited number of things you can have influence on, but the mechanics interlock in a really nice way. So I've been talking to my friend, who is another VTuber, Professor Tiberius, who is a, like, actual pro Pokemon player, goes to IRL tournaments, and trying to learn, like, the meta of Scarlet and Violet. So I actually entered and lost a tournament last month, I think it was. Or was no, it was earlier this month. It was January 5th. I entered an online tournament, which was the first time I've ever done that for Pokemon. I lost. I went, I think, 1-3 before I threw in the towel, because I couldn't make it to Top Cut with 3 losses. But it was a lot of fun. I want to do some more Pokemon-based content in the future, but I don't know what that would necessarily be, unless it's more tournaments that I have to go hunt down and find. But the meta is evolving very rapidly for Pokemon Scarlet Violet for Gen 9 here. We've already entered Season 2 of the VGC, the video game competition format, where they're allowing the Paradox Pokemon back in. They didn't for the tournament that I participated in. For those who don't know, the Paradox Pokemon are historical or future versions of existing Pokemon. Their stat numbers are very, very big. They're typically, like, min-maxed in a specific way. Frightening stuff, truly. But the meta is evolving very quickly, and it's interesting to see that happen in real time. Especially somebody who's only ever really, like, been a Showdown player on Pokemon Showdown, the simulator. This is a weird shape, but I think it's fine. It's all about flavor anyway. And you got Paradox. I still have yet to use a Paradox Pokemon myself. I am not particularly interested in just picking something that has big numbers. I built the team that I built currently, the Sandstorm team, as a specific counter in mind to Paradox teams, with the idea that they would be coming into the meta sooner rather than later, because the dinosaur variants of all of these Pokemon have the same ability, which is that their primary stat gets boosted in the sun. So I figured by building a team that revolves around Sandstorm, which cancels out the sun, I would have a sporting chance at being able to fight them on my own terms. We've yet to see how that really pans out. On Showdown, the simulator, I've had pretty good luck without needing to modify my team too much, which is cool. But I assume at actual tournament level play, I would just get smoked. But we'll see. I really like Pokemon a lot. I might just do, like, shiny hunting streams, Zatsus, in the future, because I'm able to do that now. I've got the shiny charm, and I have the power of the Masuda method at my disposal, which is the fun mechanic that they've built in where if you breed Pokemon from two different language games together, i.e., like a Japanese and an English Pokemon, there is a heightened chance that the offspring will be a shiny. In addition, I have the shiny charm, which gives you an additional roll on each time it checks to see if it's going to be a shiny. My oven is preheated, that's good. So I'm still stretching this dough. And because I play the Pokemon game, yeah, I got the shiny charm. You just have to complete the Pokedex. It's not that hard. It is not too hard to complete the Pokedex. There's only 400 guys, only, this time around. So, it's easier than it has been in the past. You'll get there. It is absolutely doable. This is stretched out enough, I think. Hey, Canenza. Anyway, what was I saying about Pokemon? Oh yeah, so because I play my Pokemon games in Italian to practice my reading comprehension, because the games are written such that a toddler can understand them, because they are games for children, I have the power of the Masuda method at my disposal very regularly. I just need to get an English Ditto from any of my friends who play in English, and I'm able to, breed with the Masuda method odds in play, which is nice. I've gotten 2 shinies so far this way. I got Tyranitar, which is on my team, and I have a, Houndstone, which is not on my team anymore. Huba, if you need specific Pokemon, let me know. I'd be happy to give you one, because like I said, I've got the whole dex, so would not be difficult. Yeah, Tyrantards are a classic. They've been relevant for forever, basically, since Gen 2 when they were introduced. Tyranitar, despite having a really unfortunate typing of Rock Dark, which makes them double weak to fighting, they're particularly viable in pretty much every competitive format. They're just too useful, their stats are too strong. It's a very poor defensive typing, but it's a pretty good offensive typing. Dark and Rock lets you hit a lot of things, and your remaining 2 move slots can be used for additional coverage, which is nice. And yeah, Tyrantar's fun. And they summoned Sandstorm on entry ever since Gen 3, when abilities were introduced, which is very good for them. As of Gen 4, Rock types get 50% bonus special defense in Sandstorm, which Tyrantar makes happen on entry. So they're very, very beefy. They're beefier than they look even by their own stat numbers, and their stats are very good. They're one of the base stat totals of 600, which qualifies them as pseudo-legendary. I put that in there as I can think it is. Which is like Dragonite and things like that. So yeah, Tyrantar, always useful, always will be. Almost certainly forever. Oh, I could have got my cheese out ahead of time. I've got so much stuff I have to excavate my refrigerator for to get the cheese. Don't worry, I got the keys. And yeah, you can also, for non-breeding purposes, you can use the sandwich mechanic to increase your odds of shinies. What happens when you have too much shit in the fridge? Yeah, I'll get to what I was posting in a little bit too, because that's another reason why I am so frazzled and tired. But I'm currently talking too much about Pokemon. Very niche interest. Yeah, long story short, I wanna do more Pokemon content going forward somehow. Probably not very regularly, but I think it would be fun, because I like Pokemon a lot. Gen 4 is a brief time when I played competitive, and I was glad Tyranitar was strong because it was already a favorite. Yeah, Tyranitar rules. They'll probably always be relevant. Just as long as abilities and things work the way they do, Tyranitar will always have a home. So yeah, I want to do more Pokemon stuff. I'm going to keep saying that. And then, what else have we been doing? I had to travel back and forth between here and my parents' place for the holidays, as one does. This was very difficult for me because I have very bad travel-induced anxiety lately. I've just got a really messed up gastrointestinal system, and leaving the home for extended periods of time makes me very anxious. But I was able to do it. I was able to drive for multiple hours and sit in the car for multiple hours, which is good. I'm proud of myself. I overcame a thing that was stressing me out. I'm going to have to do a much longer trip in about a month's time. I'm not looking forward to that. But I will probably be able to survive. What should we put on this one? I think this is going to be another tomato slices. It's a big side got tomato. this tomato is still edible. We're gonna find out. Looks like it. Kind of squishy, but that's probably fine. Where's my... Let's see, cutting board, cutting board, cutting board. Here, Chef Bon, I need your help. I can't get the sticker off of this tomato because I don't have nails because I'm a skeleton. Can you get this
Yes.
label off? Thank you.
Want me to wash it too?
Yeah, sure.
Might as well.
That means going in a 500 something degree oven. So I guess. Alright, we're gonna put some tomato slices on this pizza. That's the topping for today. I've really grown fond of this. This is something that my dad showed me when I was back for Christmas. He was putting whole ass slices of tomato on here, and I was thinking, surely that's too much tomato. You've already got tomato sauce, but I was wrong. I was a fool. Sliced tomato on here is so fresh. It's very, not floral. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess it is just fresh.
Vegetable.
Vegetal is what Bon said. I don't think that's a word either. Thank you, Sous Chef Bon. Yeah. So we're gonna slice this up. Put some big chunks on here. It's like sweet in a way that the sauce isn't anymore, and they're fresh because they're relatively wet, which is like a weird thing to say you want in your food, but I think it's a solid addition. So we pop those on there, just wherever. And then I guess once I pop this guy in the oven, I will talk about the big event that I've been up to lately. Sous Chef Bon to the rescue, yeah. Boom, boom. Because believe it or not, even though it feels like I've done nothing but play Pokemon since November, I've actually been up to a bunch of other stuff as well. I've got other plans for the remainder of the winter that I am excited about. Is this too much tomato? Maybe. Maybe, actually. Boom, boom. This is too much tomato. There we go. That's probably fine. Save some for the next dough as well. And then... basil, probably. Do I still have any basil? Is it any good? I do. Okay. Not as fresh as it was last time I made pizza, but it will be, I think. Actually, I take that back. This basil is no longer edible. Okay, we're just doing tomatoes. That's fine. It will not do. I take it all back. So I think this one has been as good. Actually, let's look at some green on there. Let's get some oregano. Giant container of oregano. What do you like about beards? What do you mean, what do I like about beards? Have I ever said that I like beards? I don't know that that's a thing that I've gone on record of saying. I've got the big sideburns because I take inspiration from my anime hero Lupin the Third, and I decided to dress like him physically in the hopes that I would become as cool as he is. What do I think? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't read. What do I think about beards? Beards are fine. I have no real preference one way or the other. I think that people often try and use them to mask a either non-existent or overpronounced jawline, but they're fine. I'm often seen with one because I'm too lazy to shave. Nice. Cool. Good to know. Now I'm going to give this the air ride trick. I'm going to blow under the pizza. We're going to see if this will have a bubble pass all the way through. If it does, it means it will slide off the peel. I think you could see the... Yeah, you could see it. So I just blew underneath this thing with my mouth. And the fact that a bubble went all the way through indicates that it is not stuck to the peel, and it'll slide right off. So I hope you're able to see that. It's alright. It's a weird shape. I don't know that God would be jealous of this one, but it'll probably taste really good. It did, in fact, slide right off the peel, which is what I wanted. Never knew that trick. Yeah. That's very important. You got to make sure you flour up the peel a lot, because if the dough sticks, either because it's damp or just because it's heavy, when you put a lot of toppings on there, when you try and slide it off onto the stone, it's going to squish, or you're going to shake and the toppings are going to come off and the dough is going to stay put, and then you've got, say, raw tomato seeping water onto your pizza stone because it's leaking, and that's a huge problem. Or you'll have your pepperoni, which will suddenly jettison itself from the dough and become a wandering pepperonin, which is never really what you want when they leave the pizza. They need to stay put. So it's very important that you make sure that the dough is able to slide off the peel. If it can't, you're going to have problems. They collapse on themselves. But anyway, the real reason why I'm so tired is because I just got through hosting a day-and-a-half long, very belated Christmas party, which I wasn't expecting to host at all, though I did know it was going to be this weekend. And this party is called the Genki Swap. You may have heard of a Yankee Swap, which is, I think, also a regional thing. Basically, it refers to the idea of everybody brings a gift, and then through some machinations, the gifts are scrambled, and everybody gets like not a Secret Santa, because a Secret Santa is typically you know who you're buying it for, but they end up with somebody else's gift, right? Genki Swap, thank you for typing it, yeah? Anyway, the premise of Genki Swap is it's like a Yankee Swap where everybody brings a gift, but there's like a WarioWare style micro game aspect to it. Everybody writes up cards that are like tasks that either the person who draws the card or everybody has to do. They award or remove or interact with points in some interesting way. And then with a big whiteboard, you can spend points to steal somebody else's gift, or you can spend your points to add to your like defense stat, which is the number of points somebody would have to spend to steal the gift from you. That's the central premise of Genki Swap. And then, so you've got cards that are things like, group activity. Everybody remember a fond memory from a previous Genki Swap. If you do, get a point. If somebody else has the same memory as you, get 2 points. Or it'll be things like, don't tell anybody about this card. If so-and-so makes a reference to their favorite movie, reveal the card, gain 1 point. Something like that. They're mechanics like that. It's all about micro games, right? And so as the night progresses, points are gained or lost. And eventually you're able to swap gifts back and forth. So the theme this year was antiquing, because usually we have like a price limit for gifts or whatever, and that's fine. And they're usually pretty good gifts. They're nice. Everybody would feel happy with just about anything that gets brought. But this year, the theme was antiquing, and I think we got some of the best gifts we've ever brought to the table. I'll try and get like a full list on Twitter if folks are willing later, because I don't have the photos on hand. But the gift that I ended up coming home with was this really cool candle lantern, which is not lit currently. Let me see, can I get the whole thing in frame? I got this very gothic lantern. It's got a ramekin with a candle in there right now, but the candle's not lit. So this is my gift. The good lamp, right? Bond, you want to show your Genki Swap gift, what you ended up coming home with?
Give me one moment, because there is information that could potentially be doxing.
I suppose that's true. The gift that I submitted to the pool was a brass letter opener that had a jester for the handle, which was very cool. I made a stat sheet for it like it was an RPG item. Here's the item that Bond got.
I got a fucking gavel.
She got a gavel, which is kind of cool. I don't really know what you're going to do with it, but it's from the 50s, I think, or the early 60s.
Something like that.
There's an engraving that she taped over for obvious reasons. It has like a real-ass guy's name and profession on it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. One of my friends found these music boxes of the characters Nancy and Sluggo from the comic Nancy, from when that comic was new, in like the 30s. Which is really cool. One of my friends brought a big wooden sign for Pepsi. Sluggo is in fact lit. Yeah. So, very, very good this year. It was a lot of fun, but I wasn't expecting to have to host it this year. One of my friends was volunteering to host, and things were looking good up until the day before, when I was asking, okay, what time should folks be there? And they said, 1 o'clock. An hour later, they said, hold that thought, the squirrels are back. And so what's happening is my friend's home is being infested by squirrels. They have gotten into their food, which is a problem, and it seems like they're entering through their basement, perhaps. I'm not sure. So it was not an ideal situation to have people sleep over and need to be fed in a home that is infested by squirrels. So at the last minute, I had to volunteer to host here instead. I wasn't expecting to, but I was able to. So we had folks over until later today. And then tomorrow, another unexpected twist is I now have to go to the Lunar New Year festival with the Bond side of the family. Even though Lunar New Year is not for another like a week and a half, I'm pretty sure. My brain says it's the 22nd is the day that the actual event is. But for some reason we're celebrating it tomorrow. I don't know why. I wasn't planning on it. I'm really tired and don't want to. But such is life. So that's what's been up on my neck of the woods. Genki Swap was a lot of fun. I definitely recommend folks trying that if you've got a friend group that you think would be down for it. The cards are whatever. You just throw them in. We actually keep the cards from the previous year and we intersperse legacy ones in with the new ones. We put a little symbol on the back for each year so we have the vintage. Oh, actually, there is more to talk about with Genki Swap. Let me check the pizza before I lose my train of thought. Ooh, looking good. Looking alright. So, the other aspect of Genki Swap is we've been doing this since 2017. The very first Genki Swap, my winning gift was this mug, which you probably can't see too well, but it says, it's an engraved mug that says, I won Genki Swap 2017. Okay, hold on. That's probably a little bit easier on the eyes than my white glove. It says, I won Genki Swap 2017. Engraved mug, very cool. Anybody would be happy to have this. The way that I ended up winning this was one of my friends thought that they had calculated properly that they could steal this from somebody else, and that would be the end of the game, and nobody would have enough points to be able to defuse them. So they filled this up, they stole this from somebody, filled it up with iced tea, were taking a swig, and then I realized that if I stole it from them, because I had enough points to do so, they couldn't steal it back from me. And so I was able to do that, and I finished their drink for them. We call that an indirect kiss, but it was a different time, pre-COVID. I wouldn't do that kind of thing today. And so I ended up with this mug. Very cool, right? This was like the dedicated like winning prize, basically. One person brought it and thought it would be definitely the coolest thing anybody brought, so they called their shot and said this is the winning prize. So I won the first year's Genki Swap. Very cool. The next year, the same person brings another engraved mug that says, I won the third annual Genki Swap. This was the second year that we did this. But this one says, I won the third annual. It has Nancy in a skull and crossbones on the back. Very cool. I ended up with this one as well because I thought it'd be funny to try again twice in a row. It just seemed like it would be the goof. The problem is, for the third Genki Swap, they brought a mug that reads, Tom's mug. I didn't want it anymore, and so I desperately tried to get other people to take it and end up with it at the end of the year. Or, no, not at the end of the event. Unfortunately, I'm not a master of my own destiny because I live with Bon, and so Bon was able to secure the mug, and I forget if either she just ended up keeping it, or she was able to foist it onto me via points at the very end of this. Suffice to say, every year for Genki Swap, literally every year, I have ended up with a mug as my final prize, whether I wanted to or not. That's just how it is. Finally, because the theme was antiques this year, the friend who makes these came in and said, you know, there's no mug this year. Instead, I'm bringing you, they brought a little music box. It had like mice on a pool table, which is pretty cool. And so that seemed good. They also brought a printed blanket as a separate gift. And so we were like, surely, okay, this is everything there is to do. That's very cool, very cool. You brought like a bonus gift that could be exchanged in a different mechanism or a different way. Very fun. But we're safe. There's no more mug. The problem is, when I woke up today... Oh wait, that's the 2017 one. Hold on. When I woke up today, in my living room, I found this. This is a mug that reads, Tom's Yield Genki Mug. This wasn't here yesterday. I now have 5 of these fuckers. And the story behind that is incredible, because the friend who brought it said to us, there's no mug this year, I didn't make a mug, and it turns out they weren't lying. And this is to me is incredible. So at the beginning of the night, when they came in, let me check the pizza one more time before I go off on a tangent. Oop, that's crispy. Let me get that up there. And let me start making the next one, I guess. Pizza. That's looking good. That's mighty crispy. The shape's a bit weird, but it certainly looks like a pizza. Okay. Let me start making the next one while I talk about this anyway. So, yeah. So, the friend who made these said that there was no mug, and I took them at their word, and it turns out they weren't lying. At the time that they arrived at the party and deposited their gifts for the swap, a mug like this did not exist. It was not real, it did not exist in any capacity. However, when they went home that evening, the person who typically makes... Are those gloves insulated? Not particularly. Are they supposed to be? I'm not sure I understand the question. But yeah, so when they went home, they met with the person who typically engraves the mugs, that has the engraving kit, and that person said, you know, it's not too late. You could make a mug. Oh no, the metal pan was not in the oven. It's on a stone. The pan is the tray is not in the oven. That didn't go in the oven. I would never grab something out of a 500-degree oven. The stone is in the oven, and I scrape it off of the stone onto the tray. And the tray is warm because it's on top of the stove, but it's not in the stove. So yeah. So they go home, they speak to the person who typically engraves these. The person says, you know, it's not too late. You could still make a mug. And so the devious wheels of the devil started turning. And so, in the dead of night, a new mug was inscribed that reads, Tom's Ye Olde Yankee Mug. And one might be wondering, well, Tom, you kicked everybody out at midnight. You all went to sleep. How could this mug possibly have entered your house like what you're saying? Surely they must have just planted it while they were at the party. And, you know, you just didn't see them. And they were lying. They did have a mug. That's what that was. Well, that's where you're wrong. Because the individual who brings these mugs all the time is the same individual who we have tasked with taking care of our cat, Olivia, while we're away, when we went away for Christmas. This individual has a key to my house. And so, this mug was deposited in my living room at the hours of, between the hours of 2 and 3 a.m. while I was asleep. Using the key that I had already given them, and, you know, I had given them full permission to enter the house with. And so, the prestige. This mug appeared out of nowhere. I am saddled with a 5th engraved mug that I will probably seldom use. That is clearly labeled for me. I can't give it to anybody else. And it manifested. It's real dedication. Breaking and entering for the bit is probably the farthest any of us have ever gone. But yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of fun was had. Genki Swap was a lot of fun. This was definitely, I think, the best year in terms of the game that we've had for quite some time. Everybody's gifts were like stellar. There wasn't anything that felt like, not that there usually is, but you know, you get like something from like a hobby shop or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, that's cool, but is it really like special or unique? But here everything felt really tailored and special. This is very rubbery, this dough. Roomies get a key to the crib. If I get a house, I'll send you a spare key, Tom, just in case. Yeah. Next time I'm out that way, I'll definitely keep that in mind. Yeah, we tasked them with taking care of Olivia when we were home for Christmas, because she was brand new and we couldn't leave her unfed. Unlike Coco, who can go a weekend without having new food given to her. You gotta feed mammals like twice a day, sometimes even more. Totally fucked up. Bad character design, in my opinion. I don't know why you need to feed something so often, but apparently you do. So, this individual had a key, was able to use it to plant yet another mug in my stupid house, and so ends Genki 2023. Or 2022, technically. This is for, you know, last year's. Something's up with this dough. I don't know. I'm not happy with it. Hope it tastes fine. I guess we'll do a taste test in a little bit. This one feels way more rubbery than the last one also. I guess just because it's been sitting out for longer. But it's harder to do the twirl. because it's like so uneven. Yeah, like it's so tricky because I want to toss, but I don't want to hit the camera. We'll get there. This is practice. I want to get really good at tossing these in a showy fashion by the end of the year. That's one of my other resolutions, I think. Trying to think of any fun cards that were drawn. Yeah, so like I said, we've entered ones from previous years, which are a lot of fun. We typically have ones that are like a long con, where if you bring this card back to the next party, it'll be worth more points. There's one that got used this year that was from Genki 2021, or 2020? I don't remember which year. It was called The Longer Con was the name of the card, and it was a 2-year time skip to this year. And it was, if you bring this card to Genki 2023, it's worth 4 points, something like that. So I assumed that whoever had it would forget about it. They did not. They brought it, and they were able to use that with another multiplier that we got somehow. That was all players who are in possession of a card from a previous Genki gain the number of points on that card +1. So they were able to use that to instantly gain 9 points, which almost broke the game, but we've got a lot of mechanics for point reduction and stuff like that. Because they were able to play the card to gain 4 points, and the other card that they had, which was, if you have a card from previous year, gain that number of points, +1. They were able to just basically double dip, which was incredible. Almost turned the game on its head, but we overcame. A very, very even game, I think. Nobody like ran away with a ton of points. Nobody really curmudgeonly held their gift or anything like that. It all worked out in the end. What about the token? Yeah, I guess that's true. I also did have another secret gift, so there were 2 bonus gifts in play. You have 5 mugs, but I think they'd forget about the card from 2020. Well, it's different people, right? So I also put another gift into play, which was another card that could get drawn. While I was antiquing to try and find the perfect gag gift for these things, and settled on the brass letter opener with the frightening little jester man on it, I found this token that was labeled Exxon Travel Club with some year on it. And I thought, well, that's repulsive. I hate Exxon so much. So my thought was I was going to bundle it with a bunch of other terrible little tokens. I found a Richard Nixon campaign button. I was like, okay, we got our Nixon button, our Exxon badge. What else could I put in here? And I couldn't find a third thing. So I ditched that idea and went with letter opener instead. But I already bought the Exxon token. So I was trying to figure out what to do with it. So I made a card that says, congratulations, you've joined the Exxon Travel Club. You gain 3 points, and any turn you end holding the Exxon Travel token, you lose a point. And now, anytime somebody steals your gift, they also get the Exxon Travel token with it. So they would be traveling around as a debuff, hot potato kind of situation. But one of my friends actually ended up really wanting it. So he actually spent points to take it from me, because it ended up being stuck to the lantern by the end of the game. And I wanted the lantern, and I didn't want the token. So that was fun as well. If anybody has any good ideas for a third thing in the set of Exxon coin, Richard Nixon campaign button, third thing, let me know, because I think that's still a really good, solid goof. But the brass letter opener, I think, ended up being better. More practical, looks cooler. I got to make stat sheet for it. I feel like Ronald Reagan was too evil. I know, like, Nixon sucked also for, like, a lot of reasons. But I feel like he's been, like, cartoonified a little bit more, whereas Reagan's, like, the actual, like, reprehensible. Like, I'd be, like, disgusted if somebody gave me a Reagan piece of paraphernalia. I wouldn't want that even as a joke. Whereas, for some reason, it feels funnier to me. I guess because of Futurama, to have something about Richard Nixon. This dough is fucked up. I don't know. It's fine. We'll pop it in. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, Genki was a lot of fun. I had so much fun this year, even though I was not expecting to host. I hope that the person who was planning on hosting can have people out their way soon enough, because it really sucks to prepare your home for guests and not to be able to have any guests come over, because you're so eager to prepare. That was a lot of fun. That was pretty much the big event. That's what I've been up to this weekend. And as I mentioned, tomorrow we're doing Lunar New Year stuff, which I wasn't expecting to do because Lunar New Year is next weekend. But we're being told we have to celebrate it now, which is stressful. I'm very tired and don't want to keep going out and doing stuff. I wasn't even sure that I wanted to stream today, but I don't know when I'm going to be told, actually, your Sunday evening is canceled again, and you won't be able to do this. So, I gotta take the opportunity when it arises, and I gotta practice now. Also, I want to try and get in the habit of making at least one pizza a week, on stream or off stream, because that's the only way I'm going to get better at tossing. And I want to be a good tosser by the end of the year. Because of scheduling issues next weekend. Oh, Olivia's on her cat tree, which is directly across my line of sight from the kitchen right now. I can't really bring her into shot because then she'd be over my pizza, and she sheds a lot, she drools a lot, and is generally just a big mess. But I've posted a few photos of her. I gotta get in the habit of posting more photos of her. I want to try and sunset my Twitter account to only being animal photos until that fucking app finally dies and people can use like Tumblr instead. I'm also trying to get in the habit of using Tumblr, which is fun. Learning to use Tumblr in the year 2023 for the first time is unreal. I have no idea how people are meant to interact with that website. I feel like such a alien every time I see how people use it, and I'm like, oh, am I doing it right? Am I tumbling right? We just don't know. Your teammate? Yes.
What about the pepperoni?
I don't think the pepperoni is good anymore, but if you want to take it out of the kitchen, the refrigerator, we can try. Colin's asking if I can put pepperoni on here.
So, if it's not good anymore, then...
I mean, you can. You want to taste test for me?
Yes. Yes.
Acer Bandit says, Tumblr is a mystery. Best left is a mystery, and that's fine. I've been enjoying it. It's nice to meet people who are there and not on Twitter, which is cool. And I don't have high faith that Twitter will be usable or I want to use Twitter. Did you taste it? But yeah, I don't have high faith in Twitter for too much longer.
It's okay.
Okay, then let's pop some pepperoni on here. It is cured meat, so I can't imagine it goes bad too quickly. But it's a little bit past the best by date, but that's fine. We're gonna Roni this one up. I'm back at using Instagram, and that's sad. I guess that makes sense for art. Instagram is kind of good for art. But I have to imagine Tumblr is like the artist platform as well. An army of bot followers to enjoy. Yeah. I don't know. I definitely feel for everybody who is currently, walked into Twitter because rebuilding a following is really, really difficult. I finally felt like I figured out how to use Twitter well late last year when I was able to use it for marketing my software, which is all free, by the way, and I'm sure a lot of the folks who are here know that. But I finally felt like I found my stride for networking with people. I feel like I'm actually very good at making new friends. I don't know if y'all would agree, but I feel like that's one of my strong suits is meeting people for the first time and being able to talk to them in a way that is good for everybody. I feel like I'm very good at making new friends, which is a gift and a curse. But I do not know how I'd make a new following from scratch if I wanted to migrate to a different social media platform. It's really difficult. It's just, I don't know how to do it. With Twitter, it's easy. I kind of became large enough where I could snowball a little bit, which is weird to talk about. I'm still a very small little guy. It's not my birthday, and I don't wear... Well, I do wear glasses. I'm not wearing them right now. But I'm still a small little guy. I don't want to sound, like, huge or anything. But I finally felt like I found a good cycle for meeting new people, engaging with the existing folks that I know, and getting eyes on the stuff that I was trying to market, which was my software. And doing that from scratch sounds like a nightmare, so I'm very, very upset that we've decided to kill Twitter. And by we, I mean Elon Musk has decided to kill Twitter. He made himself like an awkward social media shotgun tool, my ZZT stuff to post a bunch on other sites at once. That'd be cool, yeah. Congratulations, by the way, Das Meow. Happy 32nd birthday to ZZT. That's very exciting. Let's see, does this have the air bubble? Kind of. Happy birthday, ZZT. Das, you, I'm very happy that you were able to turn up the other day, by the way, for, another one of my friends, Amia, was doing a stream about old game engines and game making tools, and ZZT came up because that's a huge one. And she was delighted that you were in the chat to talk about it as the Museum of ZZT curator. She was really, really happy. You definitely made her evening that day. So thank you for doing that. And again, thank you for curating this long history of ZZT. I think you're really doing God's work in preservation. So, yes, keep it up. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to pop this bad boy in the oven for the second pizza of the night, and we will start winding down. No friction at all. Comes right off. The air glide technique never fails. Let's start cleaning up. What can I put away? Tomato sauce goes away. Tomato needs to be wrapped up. I'll do that in a minute. Peas gets wrapped up. So, looking ahead to the rest of the winter, I guess I'm free next weekend now, so I'm probably going to try and do something Pokemon related. I want to get my current team back to Master Ball rank in the cartridge games on the ladder for Season 2 here, because you get a fun little badge on all of the guys who make it there. So next weekend I might do ladder grinding on Pokemon, for Pokemon Scarlet. That could be fun. I am currently in the process of chasing a white whale that I've been after for a long time. I'm getting Fitbit support integrated for my heart rate plugin for VTube Studio. Unlike things like Pulsoid or Hyperate, which are very, very nice and friendly, where you can just use their web API as a developer and register a developer app, Fitbit's not quite so nice. They do have a web API, but you can't get things like real-time heart rate data out of it. You can just get aggregated data from, like, the past week, which is not useful for what I want to do. So the system I've set up for Fitbit involves building a whole separate app that you load onto the watch itself. That pipes data to your phone, and your phone does an HTTP post to your desktop. And through this very convoluted process, I'm actually able to get real-time heart rate data out of the Fitbit into the plugin. So I might be streaming a little bit more of that next weekend as well on Saturday. I'm pretty much almost done. If anybody has an old school Fitbit, like would be like a, not a Sense, what is it, Versa 1 or 2, Ionic, one of those, and they want to test, let me know. I would be happy to set you up. It should be pretty straightforward to get it all running now. Getting instructions for that whole process was a lot of fun. It involves scanning a QR code so that your phone app knows to download an app onto your watch, and it's a whole big process. But I think I finally got it working. I know Lua was testing it earlier in the week, and she said she was able to get connected. I finally got it so that the app doesn't fall asleep and stop sending data after a minute. That's all working. Fun, fun, fun. That's my plan for the rest of the month, pretty much. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to be maybe going to a convention, as visitors, sometime in the near future, in February. Here's hoping. I'm kind of apprehensive to do that from a public health perspective and just from a I get antsy driving now situation. But I was able to do a comparable distance of driving without wigging out too hard recently. So I think I can do it again. I recently bought some very powerful reusable N95 masks to supplement the ones that I have. So I think it'll be okay. It would be nice to get out of the house and do a thing, finally. But I don't know how much of that is just me being like, well, I give up. And how much of that is me feeling like I can actually take precautions to keep myself and on safe. P100s are great too, yeah. The ones we have are N95. They've got replaceable filters, which are quite nice. Yeah, so that's the thing that's coming up. But I'll have to block off a couple of weekends in February. My birthday's coming up on February 14th. I don't remember if that's a weekend this year or not. I have no plans for a stream before that. I think I'll be out the following weekend for the things that I just described, and maybe. But I have no plans for my birthday anniversary, which is my birthday and Valentine's Day and my streaming anniversary. I've been a fucking dumbass VTuber for 2 years in a 1 month's time. 2 of them! That's crazy. I can't believe that this dumb hobby has lasted that long. It is messed up to think about, right? But it'll be my second birthday anniversary. 2 years. I'll have been a funny cartoon in a cartoon graveyard. 2 years. Which is nice. I met so many nice people. It's a really good hobby. I honestly feel like my mental is as good as can be expected given the state of the world thanks to this hobby. I've met a bunch of really interesting creative people, a lot of folks who have very interesting hobbies or like interests outside of the stream that I now know about. Just really overall a great advance in my life was becoming a funny skeleton man on the internet. And now here I am making pizza in front of a bunch of you. Let me check on how this one's doing. In the meantime, I suppose we can slice and dice this guy. See if it tastes okay. I'm still apprehensive that this dough might be not good, but we'll see. Yeah, I want to think of something cool to do for the birthday. I don't know what it would be. The thing that springs to mind most immediately would be a revisit of the very first thing I ever streamed as a practice stream, and that has never been archived because it was too scuffed. I might replay Ape Escape 2. I feel like that could be fun. Another thing I had in mind that could be maybe cool would be learning the speed route for Everblue, which I learned is only an hour. So maybe I could do something like that. Or who knows? Maybe I'll just do the same old, same old. I really don't know. But I could do Ape Escape 2. That could be a lot of fun. I've really been enjoying a bunch of other VTubers, corporate and otherwise, playing Metal Gear for the first time. Unfortunately, I can't recapture that experience because I played all the games, but I could potentially do a Metal Gear playthrough for February, March. I feel like those games are kind of long, though. I still have to finish Grim Fandango, also. So I don't know when that's going to be. I have half a mind to save Grim Fandango's years 2 and 3 for next November, for next Day of the Dead, and just actually do this every year, one day at a time. Pomu is making you want to start a Metal Gear arc, right? I've been loving watching Pomu discover the games and just have like the full brain rot. It takes effect. Everybody I know who plays those games gets reprogrammed by the end of it. It's so powerful. It's just so powerful. So yeah, if you've never played them before, I definitely recommend it. Even the bad ones. It's interesting. It's the memes, the DNA of the soul. Exactly. Exactly. This is kind of crispy. I don't know how well this came out. Let me take some photos for posterity. Because I want to try and document every pizza I make. In more than just a stream, if I can help it. Again, towards that goal of just becoming really good at this. Let me snap a photo. Any of y'all have crazy upcoming plans, by the way? I'm going to move this for a second so I can photograph it on my... Okay, pizza's documented. Dark Souls font, pizza documented. Let's see. You're re-hungered, I'm sorry to hear that. But it's really easy to make pizza, is the thing. Even when I make the dough from scratch, you only have to wait 90 minutes for it to rise. It's really, really good like that. Debugging some streamer software, oh boy. Like software you made or software you're trying to use? Not one of my best pizzas. The dough is, it didn't rise right. I did something wrong with the dough. It's definitely edible, and I'd be happy to eat this in, like, a restaurant setting. But the dough is, like, chewier than I'd expect. It didn't rise right. Something's wrong with it. Oh well. Oh well. Such is life. We'll see what Bond thinks. Bond's usually more forgiving.
Pizza.
He says it's a pizza. Ooh, that's cool. Well, I mean, I didn't use the other recipe, so I'm sorry if you did. Yeah, I can give you the whole lecture on how to actually prepare the bao if you made bao dough. I'm really sorry about that, by the way. The thumbnails I posted on social media, like the recipe graphic, is correct. It's just the overlay that was wrong today. But thank you for catching that. I really appreciate it. And it really means a lot to me that, like you said, you've been making pizza here since the very beginning, and you know that it's different. I'm glad that you remember the recipe, because that's very cool to me. I'm glad that I've imparted that knowledge onto you. My friend diverted the thermostat on his oven with a variable resistor so I can reach pizza temperatures. That's terrifying. This paper that lives on the fridge, just in case. Yeah, I've got, I have one written down too. I haven't looked at it in years. Or like a year. I kind of remember it at this point. Though clearly not, because I fucked it up somehow today. Wanted to fucking flour on your cones. Now that's a noble goal. That is a very noble goal. I hear you. Oh, let's take this out. Pizza. Oh, and ready. Yeah, the cheese definitely got, like, very crispy here, which I think is fine. The pepperoni also looks really good. A little more orange than I would expect, but it is what it is. Definitely not one of my better pizzas, but it is a pizza nonetheless. Now, finally turn the oven off now. So yeah, that's what I'm up to these days. Again, the clip notes are going to be, you can expect more Pokemon-related stuff from me in the future, and I'm going to be continuing to work on my Fitbit integration stuff for the software that I maintain. I'm really excited about the Fitbit thing, because a lot of people have asked me, can you support Fitbit? And now I finally figured out a pattern that will work, as far as I can tell. So expect a release for that probably end of February at the absolute latest. I have to make a video tutorial on how to actually set it all up, because as I said, there's a lot of moving pieces, but the actual software I think works. If anybody, again, has an older Fitbit that they would like to try this with, let me know. It's a fun VTubing thing. And I'm coming to realize that the software that I'm building here, the heart rate plugin for VTube Studio, is actually just like the most accessible heart rate data aggregator. I don't know if there's another tool for it, but you can connect like straight over Bluetooth. You can connect via Pulsoid, Hype Rate, and now Fitbit. And there's also a WebSocket for anything else that I haven't thought of if you want to write your own proprietary API stuff for it. So if you need to get your heart rate data for whatever reason, this is the tool to do it, even if you don't use VTube Studio. If you just wanted to say, oh, actually, on that note, that's another thing that happened recently. I had a fella come and contact me asking if it was within the license of my plugin to use it for medical purposes. And I was kind of taken aback by that, and they explained what they meant was they have some kind of heart condition they're trying to diagnose, and part of the diagnosis procedure, or not, maybe it wasn't diagnosis, but like part of the care procedure was they needed to have a rolling tally of their average heart rate hour to hour, and they couldn't afford the special device that was supposed to do it, but they did have like an Apple Watch that they were already using, and so they wanted to know if they could use my plugin to capture that data, and they could build software on top of it because I offer an API for the plugin that would then write that data to a file and tabulate it. And I felt really cool knowing that I built software that somebody is able to use as a cheaper or free alternative to some really proprietary thing that's ostensibly just a tally. From what they described, it was just a device that was calculating a number. Like, it was just recording a heart rate over the course of an hour and giving an average. But if they're able to build software on top of this thing that lets them get that for cheaper or free, I'm very, very happy. I wouldn't advocate using it for really heavy-duty medical use, but it is really cool if it's able to help somebody keep track of their actual health. I feel very good about that. Yeah. So expect a new release for that end of February. My birth and time's anniversary is coming up next month. I want to play more Pokemon on stream. I think that's pretty much it for me today. It's what? It's like 7... Oh, wow, that was actually pretty brisk. Not even an hour and a half. But yeah, I'm pretty much out of talking points. I actually wrote down my talking points today, which is exciting. But I don't have a whole ton more to talk about. Pizza speedrunning. Yeah, that's actually true. GDQ just wrapped up this week as well, like yesterday, or I guess earlier today, depending on how you look at things. I was only able to tune into a little bit of it because I had folks over, and the week was very chaotic. But I did enjoy that there was a MGS3 race speedrun, which is exciting. I got to watch Pokemon Arceus last night, which is exciting. Step Mania was crazy. It's always crazy. There wasn't a task block this year, though, was there? I always like the task block. But I don't remember there being one. No. I was actually talking to Ricky earlier, right before the stream, about how I think the game Lifeline for the PS2 would be a prime taskbot game, because for folks who don't know, one, they should tune into the video essay that Ricky just put out on it on her YouTube channel, Ricky Hirsch, which is a retrospective about this game from 2004. But for folks who don't know, I'll give you the cliff notes. Lifeline is a voice-controlled PS2 game, i.e. you plug in a USB microphone, and you don't need a DualShock for most of the game. You command around the character, Rio, and she does the things you tell her to, approximately, and the whole game is like a survival horror thing. She's on like a space station, and you need to help her, because you're also trapped there too. You're like trapped in the security office, and you can't get out, and you need to help her out so she can come get you and save everybody. Cool premise. The big problem with that game is that she will often not do what you're actually asking, and there's no way to confirm or deny that. She just has to read the sound form of your voice and hope you get it. So if you say, run, and she's like, got it, use my healing item, and then she'll just do it, and then you don't have a healing item anymore, it's a problem. But I feel like this is a great opportunity for a task, because I think you can make a USB peripheral that inputs a waveform that is completely synthetic, that is not a human voice, that the game would understand perfectly. I think as long as you hit the right peaks for whatever sound you're trying to create, she would understand it, and it does not have to resemble human speech at all. I think it'd be very cool to hear what the ideal waveform to get Rio to actually do what you want every single time would be. Survival horror Hey You Pikachu. It's called Lifeline, or Operator Side in Japan. It turns 20 this year. It came out January 23rd in 2003 in Japan, and it came out the following year in America, which means that yes, they localized voice control and vocal recognition for at least 2 languages, which is incredible to me. Again, PS2, 2004. But yeah, I want to see a task for that game, and I hope I don't have to be the person to make it, but I think it would be very, very cool. I want to know what the ideal synthetic waveform to get Rio to actually do this game as fast as possible would look like, because I can't imagine. Help yourself, Mom. Let me know how this one is. Oh, that's okay.
Oops.
That's okay. What's the taste test consensus? Too hot? Perfect. She says it's perfect. It doesn't look perfect, but she says it's perfect. So that's all that matters.
It's perfect in heat.
Oh, okay. I got ahead of myself. She says it's only good in temperature-wise. I'm sure it sucks otherwise, yeah?
Pizza.
It's a pizza. Once again, we've achieved the bare minimum of it's a pizza. Please be proud of me. Yeah. And with that, I think I'm going to go find somebody to raid, because I think this is the end of the stream. Thank you all for hanging with me. You now know what to expect for the next couple months, and you know what I've been up to, and you know about Genki Swap. So next time you have folks over for a Christmas party, carry on the ganky legacy and gank your friends. Yeah, Bonacera, and good night.